There we go. 2019, welcome to my shop tour. This is my third annual shop tour. I've put in a bit of work this year. Try to invest about $1,000 a year into the shop. This is going to be probably an anti-Jay Bates, the opposite of the Jay Bates shop tour. He has a garage, highly efficient, everything in its place, nice equipment. I have the opposite. I have a barn, a huge 2,400 square foot barn that we have converted into half of it being a wood shop and half being boat and car storage. So I don't have to put stuff away. And you'll see that. There's a lot of stuff out. Everything kind of has a place, but it's good. So you are at the door. You are where I just came in. So the first thing over to the right, this is a workbench area that was here when I bought the place. It's the only stuff that was here when I bought the place, and honestly, it has become a collection of clutter. I don't use it very much. It holds my refrigerator, that's new, which has 6 beers and 4 Diet Pepsis in it. My GoPro stuff, and some small workpiece finishing. So little spray paints and things like that. I'll do that over here. One thing that is new this year are these racks. So similar to Adam Savage and Tested, he built a container rack for screws and bolts and nuts and stuff like that. I did the same sort of thing. These are Harbor Freight on sale, $5 a piece containers. Very inexpensive to build this thing. Some books down at the bottom. Then I also built rolling tool racks, and this has been invaluable. One of the downsides of a large shop is you don't have everything within reach. You have to walk across the room to find something, and when you do that, being in my early 50s, I kind of forget what I was going to go find. So this lets me bring all the tools close to my work area when I'm working, and it's worked out very well. Similarly, this is my setup rack. So this one has sandpapers and chisels and files and marking equipment and measuring and glue, and on the back are all my clamps. So I'll bring this over when I'm doing assembly, and it has everything that I need to do the assemblies. Works out really well. So moving a little further down the wall to the right, just past those rolling racks, I still have a sink over here. I've got some cabinets with painting stuff in there. I have this is my planer cart. This is the cheapest planer anybody could ever buy, staying within my $1,000 a year that I could build into this thing. The cart was given to me, and what I've built are infeed and outfeed tables. So this ends up being a pretty decent, 12-inch planer cart. The whole thing goes wherever I need it. I have a dust collector port over on the other side of the table saw. I'll wheel this around there, and I'll put the dust collector on there. Oh, go back. There we go. Here I have my table saw supplies and accessories on shelves. This is the only heating source for the entire building. This is a wood stove, and going through a pretty good amount of wood, but right now it's about 20 degrees outside, and it was 42 degrees in the shop when I started heating it this morning, and right now it's 60 in about 2 hours. So that's not bad. It heats the room. Get it up to 70 here in the winter, no problem. So going past the wood stove, most of this back here is clutter space. This is all the scrap wood and the burn pile. I have a lot of boat maintenance things on the racks back here. I do have my wood the leftover wood. This is not actually the supply wood. There's some decent stuff in here, but it's mostly scrap, but it's usable stuff. Tall stock over here, and literally storage spots for everything. More storage over here. The lights that I haven't finished, the last 3 lights that I could put up. One of the big changes this year has been, again, when you're in your early 50s, you need light. And I bought 13 shop lights, LED shop lights. I bought 10 in a kit that they can wire together. Those are nice. 14 shop lights. And I bought 4 that are right over top of my central work area. They're a little more powerful, but they're also pretty hard on the eyes. By far the biggest change in the past year has been the addition of this 12-inch joiner. It is a Superior Machine Works joiner, maybe 90 to 95 years old, out of Chicago, Illinois. I got this off Craigslist. It was essentially a barn find the guy had bought, and he had not finished the restoration or even actually started it. So I did the restoration, added the motor, put in the oilers, did a little work on the tuning of the thing, just cleaned off all the rust, and it works great. This actually generates some really interesting, curly shavings like this, which I think means that it's running a little slow. It only is a 2-blade, but I could probably speed it up a little bit. I'm going to have to do that with the pulley sizing. I'm not going to do it with the motor. But in the last video that I put up on this, the motor wasn't wired properly, and that was the whole issue. Since I've gotten this fixed, I've built a set of kitchen cabinets, a desktop. The desktop was built with 2-inch thick, 10-inch wide red maple, and that all the planing of that was done with this. I really like having the longer bed. The length of the bed makes all the difference in the world in getting long pieces properly machined up. The other large piece in the shop that's been here for a couple of years now is the stroke sander. It's an 8-foot by anything wide. Really, I can put 4 feet wide in here, no problem. Probably could do 6 feet wide. But right now it's slacked. I got this along with a table saw, commercial sliding table saw, and the table saw was in such bad shape that I ended up taking it to the dump. It was not restorable. And what I got in scrap metal for the table saw covered the cost of what I paid for this and the table saw. This works great. It has its downsides. If you learn how to use it properly, you can get a really good finish with just one pass of a 220 random orbital required after that. We had a new furnace installed, so I used the old furnace blower, and I built a quick dust collector there. That works great for collecting all the extra dust that comes off the stroke sander, because it's a dusty tool. I still have the Grizzly table saw, which is not mine, it's borrowed from a friend. Center of the room, outfeed table with the melamine surface on it. This ends up being my absolute primary work area. The outfeed table is assembly table, it's everything. So in this table, what I've done, I figured out how I work. And the way I work is, I'm okay with the clear tabletop, but I got to have the stuff readily available. So I built this shelf underneath it, and it literally is, everything is plugged in, you pick it up, you turn it on, you go. And it's literally a scrap metal shelf, some clamps, just some quick clamps that are handy and ready. So down here I've got a planer. I actually have a biscuit joiner, a circular saw, a jigsaw. I have one of my routers set up here, and the random orbital. This works out really well, and it becomes my primary work area. And the shelf runs around both sides. Coming around the corner from the stroke sander, I have a storage cabinet with finishes and epoxies. I have my 10-inch sanding, 10-inch? Yeah, it looks like 12-inch. Chop saw station. Chop saw station, I have the fence from the table saw that I got rid of. I kept that fence. I have my stereo system with the subwoofer and the speakers, and it's loud. It's great. Some saw blades, electrical work here, other storage down here, sharpening station, and another junk drawer, miscellaneous stuff. Across from the chop saw station, I have my Cnc router, which still runs pretty well. It needs some attention. I have never put limit switches on it, so it has a couple of issues. My Walker Turner 16-inch bandsaw. This also has some issues. In trying to tune this out, I found that the mount at the top had actually been broken and re-welded, and I don't think it was perfectly put back in place, and it's very, very hard. I can get them parallel, but they're offset from each other, and there's no adjustment for that. Then if I walk past my bandsaw, I have, you probably can't see it, but here I have the square hole maker and my round hole maker, drill press, and dedicated mortiser. Then past the drill press, if I keep walking through that aisle, I have my non-woodworking table. Right now it has a motor from a John Deere 445. This is the old motor. The new motor is in the mower now. My air compressor, and on the other side of this wall is where my dust collection is. So I have the warm air return if I want to keep it here. The other side of the wall is not heated except for the dust collector room. Then I have lots of stuff. So some really old radio controlled airplane stuff, some screws and bolts and stuff. Some jigs up here. I've got the dovetail jig, a couple of other things, toys. This is all my rigging work. So I do sailboat rigging, and I have the tooling and the supplies for that down here. This is plumbing, a couple of boxes for that. I have a scroll saw, I have a 10-inch bandsaw. I actually have a spindle sander, which I actually use, and then this section here is all for the cordless drills and their charging. Down below the cordless drills I have the cases. Some of these are empty, most of these are full. For other hand tools and some supplies, including just the random throw them all in there hand tools. And my grinder. This actually gets used a lot. And I have an air compressor hose here that stretches through the entire room. Right behind me, I have a pile of cedar that I'm working on, but that's also probably going to be a workbench. I'm still trying to figure out the size and position and what I want there. Do I want it on wheels? But I do need a workbench with a vise. I need a woodworking workbench. I don't have one, and it has been missed. So when I walk in the shop, I have my remote control for the dust collector. Turns it on and turns it off, and my safety glasses, and I go to work. The shop is active. I am building things. I'm just doing a lot less video than I used to. I do have 121 followers, and I thank you all. I know that majority of them are probably my mother using different IDs, but anyway, yes, thank you. I do get comments from now and then. I try to reply. A lot of them are very positive. So I may end up putting a couple more videos up. But as you see, this is the opposite of Jay Bates' shop. This shop is large. It's functional, but I don't have to put things away. I can leave things out. Yeah, I like my shop. Thanks for watching.